Herzlich willkommen bei einer neuen Ausgabe von Schieders Melange. Ich habe heute einen speziellen Gast, nämlich meine Kollegin Sylvie Guillaume. Therefore, we switch into English because Sylvie Guillaume is a head of the French delegation. So this means you are the chair of the French Socialist Members of Parliament. You are since 2009?
Yes, I am.
So you have already a long experience in the Parliament. You had been vice president of the Socialist Group as well?
Yes, and vice president of the EP as well.
And vice president of the EP as well. But we met today less to discuss about your work in the European Parliament, more to get an idea of French politics, because we are in the period between presidential elections, where a lot of us asked ourselves a lot of questions, how it could happen that only two, let's say, two serious candidates, Macron and Le Pen, and also all which do not like Le Pen's extreme right course, then had to vote Macron, even also thinking that he causes some problem. And we are before the French Parliament, National Assembly elections, where, of course, we want to know how socialist chances are there again. So maybe we can start how you see the French presidential elections.
Well, Andreas, first, thank you for the invitation, and apologies for my English, because maybe I will be struck on some expressions. So,
for sure, better than my French. So therefore,
we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but I can prove you after.
Okay.
I can tell you, my French is so weak. When I go in Strasbourg into a bakery, boulangerie, and try to ask on French for some bread or some streusel, I even get corrected by the assistant there. So.
They are too straight. Well, again, thank you for the invitation and for the invitation to speak about those very crucial moments for our French Socialist Party history, I would say. The presidential election, maybe you know, we had a candidate with the mayor of Paris, Anne, who was a very good candidate for Europe and for France, because she's tough, she has ideas, she's very fluent to deliver on any kind of issues. She's very much committed in social issues and international ones. So she has a very wide range of knowledge, and I've been accompanying her during this election, and I was very glad to be there and to hear her about Europe, about international issues. But in that elections, we had finally three useful votes and three blocks that raised from the voters' opinion with Macron. He says left, center, to right. Well, in the end, I think there was the feeling for French people to go on with some kind of certainty on the future, and obviously very strong feeling that he was the one to be strong in Europe. And it's amazing that Emmanuel Macron decided to be the president of the Council of Europe, and especially during the presidential election. This is not a surprise. This bloc was very important. The second bloc was the extreme right one with Marine Le Pen, as she has been challenged by an even worse, extreme right-wing candidate, which led to the fact that she looked a little bit more acceptable to certain people. And then the third bloc was something where ecologists, socialists, extreme leftists with Melange were competing. And to my point of view, the third bloc was composed with a useful vote, from the voters, with the fact that Mélenchon was ahead in the polls in all the range of the left and ecological part. And in the end, people said, well, if we have a chance to have somebody from the left at the second round of the election, let's vote for him, even if we don't agree with all what he says. And I disagree personally with a lot of what he says. But in the end, it was a bet on the capacity of the left to be at the second round, which we failed in the end.
But yeah, just to stay a little bit on the Anne Hidalgo, because she's an extremely successful mayor.
Yes, she is.
People like her. She does very good politics. So, and Paris is, I mean, it's the capital. Is how many million people are? Well,
it all depends if you are in the inner city or in the big region.
But she's responsible for
many millions. I would say 4 million people.
So. She's an important, let's say, political person with also a track record which is extremely successful. But it seems that people wanted to have her in Paris and not in, let's say, not in Élysée. Eh?
Yes, you can have that point of view. Would play the role.
Or was it this description of Macron being so overshadowing everything?
Yeah, he is.
Because he made this light against dark fight.
Yeah, sure. I will go back on this idea, but just one last word on Anne Hidalgo, because what you said is right. She's most willing to go on in Paris, but I think the left voters had something in mind for more radicality. And this is something we have to think about. In the French Socialist Party, we acted, and she acted as a real social democrat. And that's what we do, again, here in the EP. As socialists, we are social democrats. We are willing to lead states, to be part of the leading party. But I think French voters were fed up with that kind of way where Macron rules France with some kind of authoritarian point of view, and I think maybe French left voters wanted more radicality, and this is why we ended so low in the first round. And to go back to that kind of personality that Macron has, well, this is for me something that that is very important. He wants to rule everything. This is really the case in France, with the ministers, with the trade unions, with any kind of social component in France. There is what he says, what he thinks, and what he wants to rule over, and that's it. And I think people are fed up with that, because sure, we have a very low rate of unemployment, but we have very important, how to call it, in economy, prices are raising very
inflation,
much, inflation, and he doesn't really act on that at that stage.
But I have two questions, because I had also the feeling, and maybe it's also from my political background, to have this situation that when you are against the extreme right, you only have, let's say, one possible solution. This is not good for the political system, no? And of course, Macron insinuated himself as saying, I'm the one which can beat Le Pen, and therefore vote for me. But I think his program is far from being, let's say, a broad, acceptable one. No? He completely neglects social issues. But how can such a guy be born under French socialist presidency?
Well, he's been hiding from the beginning. from now we can see that he's been hiding. He's never been he's never been a member of the French Socialist Party, and he's been taking a chance and a real opportunity in the position he was as a minister. I think he knows very well how the administration is acting and how and where he can act himself. So he's very far from being a socialist, and he has been always very far from being a socialist. And in his mind, I think he wants to destroy the French Socialist Party, the French parties, and the French.
General,
yes, in general, he doesn't want to have the right or the left. In the previous election, he destroyed the left. In this one, he destroyed the right part of the electoral part. He destroyed les Républicains. Mm-hmm. They are completely down. So I think he maybe tried to eradicate everything between him and extreme right, because it's easier when you are competing with somebody like Marine Le Pen or Éric Zemmour, whoever in the extreme, to be the one who gathered on his name. So, but you know, you have to remember that in 2012 he said, when he was elected, my mandate will be the one for Europe, and a second part was, I will eradicate the extreme right. In the end, in 2022, well, it was in 2017, sorry. And in 2022, we had two extreme right candidates. This is not a success for Emmanuel Macron.
No. I think it is his kind of politics, which is saying there is no ideology politics, there is no interest, there is no social questions on the table. At the end, creates also strong extreme right. Extreme right
and anger.
Yeah.
Because extreme right comes from anger.
It's completely true. Anger and how is it? Hopelessness. Huh?
Yes, sure. You can see what happened in the previous years with the yellow jackets and whoever. Now we have people. I can see them. I have chats with people. I meet people. They are very angry against what's happening in general. They are fearing for the future. They are fearing for the future of their children, and they are really with anger regarding Emmanuel Macron.
But this is, I think it's...
and it doesn't, it doesn't answer to that. It doesn't answer.
But I think this is the two because in my opinion, this is exactly what politics is for. At the end, it is not about inscenating yourself being something like in France we would always make the comparison with Louis XIV or l'état c'est moi and this kind of attitude, because at the end the politics is the tool how to give answers and solutions for the everyday life problems of the people, to make it better.
It is supposed to be.
But there is a lot on the table. Huh? There's the social question, there is the employment question, there's education, climate, international situation.
And see, the first thing is said with the very small campaign he made, because we had no campaign in reality.
Yeah.
The first thing he raised was retirement, with an even stronger and harmful proposal that he was failing
to implement.
So it was so surprising to hear that finally he was saying, I don't give a damn to what you said some years ago. I will do it, and even deeper on retirement. That was so amazing to see and to hear what he was doing. And you know what is really again worrying is that he cannot be a candidate in a third time. So he has no challenge. He will not go in front of voters next time anymore.
But voters are asked quite soon for the National Assembly election.
Yeah.
And this is also the moment, because we had been quite, let's say, critic on the situation of Socialist Party, and still is not good. But of course, the national parliament elections are a chance to restart the socialist project.
Well, we are trying to have the best tools to, let's be honest, survive first. Because when you have less than 2% in a national election, it's a little bit hard for the future. But we are fighting. And so one tool we have is to try to gather. We heard the message from the French voters that they wanted to have a united left part and parties and with the Greens in the next in the political landscape, let's say. So the legislative elections are one step for that kind of unity. This is not easy, I can tell you, because well, Jean-Luc Mélenchon and the left, let's say, La France Insoumise, was up to 22% in the national and presidential election, which makes of him, well, let's say, he's a little bit heavy in the discussion.
Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult because he's a prominent and dominant party in the left and green discussions. But I think we managed to have something quite with a good balance. We are agreeing on a lot of issues. We've been dragging others to think just like the French Socialist Party think, which is quite good, let's say, and especially with the Greens, who are quite close with us on social issues. We're trying to be close to them on ecological issues. And when we disagree with Jean-Luc Mélenchon, we agree on disagreeing. And we say it to the people. For instance, to be clear, if I may, on NATO, we disagree.
Before we maybe touch the content, just to explain for those which are not so deep in French politics, because it's different than, for example, in our Austrian system. You have not only list voting, you vote in the direct seats in this 577.
Yes, it is. Constituencies. So this is an individual election.
So therefore it is important that, let's say, all progressive forces join. And the system you do is you say where the socialist has, let's say, the best chances to get elected, the others in this alliance will support him, and vice versa.
Yes, exactly.
And you call it NUP, Nouvelle Union Populaire Écologique.
Let's say with the English accent, NUPS.
Yeah.
I don't know how to spell it well. I don't know.
Whatever. It's only for this election.
Yes, sure. Well,
we don't need to.
Well, maybe we have to work on it, but it is too early to say about it. So the system is just what you said. So
therefore, the socialists can stay socialists. They have not to, let's say...
No. They don't leave their label. No.
So on the content?
So we will be, just on numbers, we will have 70 candidates out of 577. And La France Insoumise will have more than 300. But we managed to have 70 because we have grassroots implementation. Well, we are well represented on the ground, so we managed to have.
We is now the socialist, because it's still a party which people are mayors, local activists.
Yeah, on regional level, and so we managed to win a lot of regions, for instance, 5. So. This is for numbers, and we go, but we have some difficulties because some of our colleagues are disagreeing with that kind of agreement. So
I think it can, for a real socialist, which is pro-social, pro-Europe, it's hard to listen then in TV. Mélenchon speaking for them. Huh?
Yes, sure. I can understand this is difficult. This is difficult for me as well. But we managed to have on the contents really a number of issues and to propose of proposals that I think we can endorse. And again, when we disagree, we decided to say we agree on disagreeing. So, for instance, well, we managed first. We managed to get rid of a non-support on Ukraine. They are supporting Ukraine.
Okay, so
this is very important. There's no way on Brexit, no way on getting out of the Eurozone or whatever.
Okay.
Everything is behind us
quite
now.
Pro-European.
That's quite pro-European. Which was not...
which is the hardest critic point of Melange.
Yeah, sure. So this is behind us.
Because I just came to my mind, we have also to understand that in French political system, this happens very often that you have these alliances. No, also François Mitterrand created his broad alliance of the left, which made him president at the end.
Yes, you're right. Of course, it was many years ago. So we were, some of us were together at that stage. We were together with Mélenchon at that stage because he went out in 2008. But well, yes, we managed to have that kind of configurations, and with Mitterrand and with Lionel Jospin as well, when we had the gauche pluriel, plural left, with that was a real. I began with politics at that stage, and that was a really very interesting moment. Well, and that's not
I know, I remember.
That was an amazing moment with Lionel Jospin. Anyway, that's behind us too. So we are now with a dominant party in the presidential election. This is the second time that Mélenchon is ahead of us, so we have to do with that. And to go on with agreements and disagreements, we still have disagreements on that. So, for instance, on NATO, so we decided to say that we disagree on the way forward with NATO. So some say so, and some say something else. And again, on that very curious feeling, a word of disobeying and to European rules, which I find quite infantile. But anyway, regarding Mélenchon, he says we want to disobey, and he say from our part we say. Yes, you can disobey, but it doesn't lead nowhere. So if you want to compete and to contest rules, you have to propose something else. So we say, they say disobey, we say contest, and then work, which is quite different.
So I think we already come to an end. The elections are 12th of June and 19th of June, second round where, let's say, it was not decided who gets the seat in the first round.
The two bests go at the second round.
It's like the French president.
Yes, and the one who are over 12.5% of the voters.
Okay.
So you can have 3 or even 4, but it's with the turnout in France, it's going to be very difficult to have more than 2.
For you, a hard June?
Yeah, really hard June.
For us, an interesting one. Also hard June, but out of other reasons. But we hope the best, because I think, and that's why I was choosing this topic to discuss with you. I think a strong France is important for Europe. Also with Macron is important, but it's even more important if there is also a social and pro-ecologic voice, because this is what Europe needs.
Sure.
And so therefore we hope the best, and we know there is a strategy.
We will try to have a counter-power in that election, and maybe we can have some talks on the future in the PES with social democrats and radicality or whatever in the future.
And I have, as you see, we have our cup. So for joining us, I want to present you
also this I'm very glad of that.
An unused one. Thank you, Sylvie.
Thank you very much, Andreas.
Und danke euch fürs Zuschauen. Bis zum nächsten Mal.